Rejoice, cinema fans, for the mediocre, pointless, but basically okay sequels have begun to return to the silver screen. Nature is healing. Which is normally fine by me. Not every film has to be an eye-popping extravaganza of CGI with enough star power to outshine the Milky Way or an intimate bit of awards bait. Cinema needs basically functional, good enough to pass the time if you're into this sort of thing sequels, the same as radio needs songs that fill airtime between ad breaks that do the job in vaguely entertaining you, but you won't cry when they disappear from rotation because Ed Sheeran released yet another song. And that's what Escape Room 2 Escape Harder is. Now, normally for sequels, I figure I should rewatch the first one just so I'm all caught up on the lore and whatever characters made it to the final reel that I'm supposed to remember exists. So I grab a beer, throw on Amazon Prime, and no joke, there are literally 3 films just on Prime with the title of Escape Room, and film alone knows how many more lurking just a few clicks away. I'm just saying that I might not have seen the actual prequel to this one is all, which is fine. Which is fine, since this film pads its truly, madly, pathetically short runtime of 82 minutes with a catch-up of what happened in the previous film, which is nice of it, since between hopefully watching the previous one and going to the cinema, I had completely forgotten everything that had happened. Anyway, it's your fairly standard setup. A secret evil corporation with technology that verges on magic has nothing better to do with its time than round up groups of people with a loose theme uniting them, and then lock them in escape rooms where people bet on whether or not they're going to make it to the next one or not. Our theme this week is that all these people have previously won their games and are trying to get on with their lives. Hence the clunky correlation of words passing for our title. I mean, as films go, I've certainly seen worse films which are basically a group of red shirts destined to die, and the only thing on my mind is how and who. I mean, I've seen better, Cube springs to mind, but the characters, each of whom have one and only one defining trait, and according to IMDb they even mostly have names, were tolerable but forgettable, which is an issue that I'll circle back to, and the death traps were fun and inventive, but there were 2, maybe 3 major problems with this film. First, the death scenes were shocking, and I don't mean that in the good way. Like I said, the whole point of films like this is that we get to see a group of mid-20s actors with careers that won't be troubling the award ceremonies anytime soon being removed from this mortal coil. I mean, you got the 15 rating in the UK, so where's the blood, the gore, the look on the face of a person who thinks they've just made it, only for that trickle of blood to run out from across their neck as their head neatly rolls off their shoulders? The camera cuts away so quickly you'd think they were going for a lower 12A rating. As is, you could put this thing on TV on a Saturday afternoon, I doubt it would raise much of a fuss. And you have the option here for some truly shockingly terrifying and awful death scenes here. No rewrites or tweaking required. If the studio had the guts, this could have been a seriously gory film, but it's just so clean. I've seen more tragic deaths in Saturday morning kids' cartoons. What compounded the fact was that, well, I just didn't care about any of them at all, not even our leads, which is an issue when at least 2 of them seem to have seriously cool backgrounds. One of them was part of a group that was immune to pain. It's called congenital analgesia, and looks like it sucks to have, and could I have watched their group? Because apparently their rooms were majorly messed up. Because as for our lot, we were there and they said words, but there was nothing to really set them apart from each other, which is partially the way that we were introduced to them, but also the film was so rushed that once things got moving, we never really got a chance to identify with them or learn anything about them, and as a result, once the abysmally underwhelming death scenes got going, sometimes I wasn't even sure who was dead. And since the people on screen didn't seem to be terribly upset, I failed to see why I should have been either. Which leads to the third major issue. This film is way too rushed. Like I said, this film has a truly pathetic 82-minute runtime, 88 if you include the credits, which somehow has a draggy first act, which is an impressive feat, I must say. It does mean that when things get going, there's not an ounce of fat on the film's bones as we barrel from escape room to escape room, which is what I paid me monies for, but it also means that there's no time for any character development, beyond someone blurting out, "My name is Sam, I like turtles, the theme of my group was one-hit wonders from the 90s, which means that all of this film's problems come full circle. Also, none of these helped once the film's plot. Remember, it exists in the last 10 minutes, and whilst there's nothing earth-shattering or even very surprising about what happens unless you've never been to a movie before, it would have helped if I'd given us stuff, or if the film had taken a breath every now and then to try and allow me to put things together myself. So, yeah. Escape Room Catching Fire is another escape room film. If you like the first one, then you'll like this, and if you didn't, then you won't. Its death scenes need to be seriously improved, its characters developed, and the runtime increased by 5 minutes, but it's harmless enough if you're trying to work out if you're into horror or if you're trying to look tough on a first date. Not that you should ever take a first date to a cinema. I never did. But when you could be at home watching Willy's Wonderland, Cube, Snowpiercer, Cabin in the Woods, or Battle Royale, you'd better spring for the popcorn and know a good film afterwards. So I'll catch you next time. If nothing else is on, check this film out. Otherwise, just don't bother. But what is your favourite escape room type film? Comment below, let me know. I'm Daniel, it's been Dunking. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe.